Hi all, it is 2 o'clock and welcome to Me Too Many Voices and Friends for the community by the community. I am very excited to be doing this series and today to have the lovely Solange, a brilliant woman and poet. She's a holistic educator. And I am very lucky to call her a friend and to have gotten to experience some of her poetry. And as some of you may know, she is not only a very gifted writer, but she just brings these words to life in a way that I've never really seen before. So it is, like I said, very exciting that we have her as a guest. So I'm seeing I like the Mr. Rogers t-shirt. Thank you very much. You are special. I apologize. I am feeling a little under the weather, so I'm kind of still wearing my pajamas, which I've been trying to change out of to have a little bit of a routine, even with the social distancing. Yeah, so I think we are all very excited and eager to hear from Solange why we're all, here on Zoom today. So I am going to kick it over to Solange. As she mentioned, there is a window for chatting. A lot of you have already started utilizing, which I'm glad. You can chat with everybody, or if you just wanted to reach out to the panelists directly, that would be Solange and myself. You're welcome to do so, and we'll do our best to answer any questions and look for any notices that come in. And thanks again. Hi, Solange.
Hi, how you doing? I've been waiting for you guys all day. I'm super excited, and I didn't want to overplan because I wanted to let the spontaneity of the moment kind of feed me a bit. So let's see. Ballads from the Between, which looks like this. You could call it a chapbook, a book, a booklet, whatever. It's very small. This is a collection of probably 15 years worth of writing. I never considered myself a writer. It was my worst subject in school. I thought some people were endowed with great writing and some people weren't, kind of like magically. So I would say that this collection actually comes from a combination in equal measure of desperation and inspiration. It was a way for me to express myself, have an audience of one. And it was very validating for me to put these feelings on the page. Now, Lauren and I met through our mutual interest in trauma recovery. And part of trauma recovery is really being able to tune in to the body, the felt sense. That's really kind of what gets hijacked. So you might notice in my poetry that it's very visceral. The words actually come from sensation. I think my hope in publishing, right? Because it's like to actually decide to call yourself something. I remember there was a point in my life where I said, I'm not a dancer, I dance. I'm not a poet, I write. Right. And so I think for a lot of marginalized people, we really struggle with kind of affirming ourselves and saying that we're worthy of shifting our identity and taking on certain titles. Some people are really good at that, and others of us aren't really good at that. So for me to like put this together and self-publish was just a way for me to say, like, I too exist. So let's see if there's any questions. No, hi, Dr. Robin. And let's get it going. So the dedication here goes. We are the broken, the scarred up good, but with smiles in our eyes. We live where the distinctions of holy or profane are mere frivolities. We live in the between. And I kind of feel like in a world that's highly rational and that really kind of elevates thought to anything that's kind of sensed in the body, our sensory lives are kind of like pushed aside. But I'd venture to say that that is where a lot of wisdom lies. Okay. I think it might be appropriate to start with this actual poem called Love is Born in Quiet, seeing as how our lives are so much more quiet than they've been. Love is born in quiet. While seduction abounds in the cacophony of cities, and infatuation worships myriad gods and goddesses, love is born in quiet. Here, everything pimps for your attention, each moment more proud than the next. Baptisms every day in a new trend. But love, I tell you, is born in quiet. I know many of us are struggling with stillness. So I wonder what might arise from this stillness. There's a lot of kind of unintended consequences of this isolation, but perhaps something else might bubble up. I'm gonna pause here and feel free to use hi Melissa and Rita and Luis and Lee. I'm gonna pause here if you wanna send me anything in the chat so that we can interact a little bit more. So I'm thinking that the way that the reading is gonna go today is we're gonna go from kind of societal frustrations and my observations about this kind of liminal in-between space that I embody, and then bring it into the personal. This next poem is called On Achievement. And I'll tell you this, based on all of our life experiences and our need to survive, we all develop coping mechanisms for how to get through. And a lot of them are developed very early on. And one of the things that I developed very early on was to be this kind of good girl and to constantly achieve. It worked for me for a very long time. It worked for me for a very long time because I got recognized and I got little awards and I got my stickers and, you know, the way that we kind of train kids in schools. I got the grades, I got the GPA, I got the scholarships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I got the lists, you get the deal, right? And then what happened when I graduated from college and didn't have that kind of carrot out there anymore, there was this tremendous crash because so much of my identity was focused on these outside indicators, right? And so it was almost like a map because all I needed to really do was figure out what you wanted me to do and then follow it to the very best of my ability. And when those kind of signposts stopped, I was really left with myself and really at a loss of where to develop a self-esteem, right? Where to develop resilience. And then once you go and, you know, it's very highly linked with outward validation, codependence, needs for validation, affirmation, right? So here is On Achievement. Okay. And when the nag begins, arising out of the dark, it starts off as a helping hand, a plot, a storyline, a ladder, a staircase, a path, a picture with paint by number suggestions. Then it is a dream turned to desire, strung on something else, a series of something else's, a series that drives with locomotor urgency. So now I need this story, I need this outcome, and I'll only take this lesson I planned for. So it kind of speaks for itself. Oh, I have a message from Elizabeth. And from Shakira. Yeah. So on the heels of On Achievement, I'm going to bring you Good Girl. Here's Good Girl. I don't know whatever made me think that the order of a life created could be a comparable substitution for human intimacy, that the zero balance and completed paperwork could provide that deep kind of restful satisfaction. I now search out the sublime in concrete and plastic. I have found beauty in all the day's light, in city murals, in laughter, in spite of the commute. A child at play, whispered secrets. But this land is no longer holy. If you had told me this is what I would get in exchange for following the rules, a smiling hull not giving herself away, I would have been the fool. That was written back in my 20s, for sure. Thank you, friends. I'm loving these comments. I'm going to pause for a moment in case anybody wants to read the side. All right. Now, this poem here came from the ethers because it came out in one fell swoop. I told you that the poetry came from equal parts desperation and inspiration. So this one is definitely inspiration. And I'm gonna hold it close because it's a little long. Okay. America. On this barren canvas is where the longings take shape, where the penance animates. Now I hear it, the electromagnetic buzz, the cadence of our time. Now I see it, the glare of bluish light, the fingerprints on screen, the debt to achieve, to do something worthy. It is louder for the children of the enslaved to rectify their horrors through our glory. In my guts, I carry their dreams. And this life I was born into, this political privilege I carry, is fickle and ominous. Even on the islands of my forefathers, even back in the motherland, it is a tumor in my throat. It has a life of its own, and it suffocates and mutes and wipes out any chance for communion. This penance only paid through achievement. And so I teeter here between God and history books, ever searching to be the good girl, trying on dresses and ripping them off because they strangle at the neck and the seams itch, and there are slogans on the front and tags on the back, fashioned by little hands from far off places. And I'm supposed to want that vinyl house and a new plastic car, and I'm supposed to upgrade and go bigger to accommodate the people who don't visit anymore, the people who share screenshots of their lives through swipes, likes, and bites. I'm supposed to want that title that my tribe can use at networking events, which should exude power and authority, a seamless representation of my persona, which should be defined, consistent, and brandable, something rather easy to express in word or, better yet, image. And I'm supposed to want a raise for that thing I do in that fluorescent lighted office with the laminate wood furniture and heavy-duty acrylic upholstered chair. And I'm supposed to want that good enough man who matches with my brand so that I can be a good enough mother. And I'm supposed to comply with schools so that together we can shape my child to want what I'm supposed to want. And I'm supposed to think just enough to bring innovation, but not shape culture. Nope, not step out of line. On America, I like that one a lot. We have the right to live on our own terms, you know what I'm saying? And this On America thing, On America was a response to all the messages. I mean, the messages of you know, what we're supposed to do. And being in conversations with the ones that I definitely internalize. So how do you like break free from that and live your own actual authentic life, you know? Yeah. mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have a soldier here. The army is also duplicitous. Absolutely. I mean, talk about indoctrination. Nikki talks about propaganda. Exactly. Exactly. And like, you know, for folks who consider themselves kind of liberal and progressive and things like that, I really challenge us to also investigate wherever we're getting messages, you know, to be righteous. Like, what does that look like? You know, I kind of invite us all to be just really authentic with with who we are. So let's see. I think we're going to move a little bit more, because that was more like kind of commentary on the outside. So then now I'm having the process go in a little bit more. So I'm going to read a couple here. And I'm gonna slow down. All right, Miss Rita. Okay. Okay. So this is called Burst. And sometimes you gotta cry. You gotta cry for all of it. You gotta cry with all of it, because it's all there. And you catch glimpses of its beauty. And you cry because you can't live there. And because you forgot it a long time ago. And because you don't live there. You caught it with the sound of 2,000 ears listening, like thunder. And you could fill a life with it. And you cry because you don't, because you walk the tight wire high, high up there. Yeah. So you can see in that one that one has more of this visceral sense, you know, but also the burst is also a bit of like what happens when we are astounded by beauty, right? It's like, uh-oh, I'm going to start crying. Those examples of like such profound generosity, or the hands of a farmer, you know, I don't, just things that just catch you so strongly, and you can't quite contain it. You can't quite in one moment like process all of it, right? And so in mindfulness practice, which I've studied, you know, there's this deep paying attention, right? And paying attention to the body, paying attention to the thoughts. But coupled with that is the tenderness that we grant these things, right? So it's like we're bursting. I can't process all of it. I'm disoriented, right? I'm disoriented. And it's like, can you extend tenderness towards that disorientation, right? Can you extend tenderness towards your numbness, your rage, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So that one was called Burst. We're going to go to Surrender. All right. I'm going to take it up. Well, before I start, I'm reading Nikki's note. Walking a high wire while crying, and all the vulnerability that comes with that. Right. Brene Brown talks a lot about vulnerability. Vulnerability is, it's an access point to love. It's an access point to the thing we want most in the world. We're social creatures. We want to connect. And we want to feel seen and loved. And in that, we heal through that grace, right? And yet, if you're unwilling or unable to get real and share that vulnerability, right, then these connections become very shallow, right? So, all right. Hi, Pixel. Oh, this is great. Okay. So this is surrender. This time, I am staying. I am locating here among these heaps, here among the carnage that was my heart. Here I will live too, on these flooded banks, in the muddy waters that churn up plastic tops and cellophane bits. This time I stay because I need a home. This time I commit to remain. I will put my head down right here. I will not walk another step for the temptation of that single chess move that would make it all right. I tell you, I'm staying right here and taking in the full view. I'm staying where piss and exhaust meet with ammonia and roaches. I'm staying with the fat and the sinew, supplanting the middle-class dreams that have chased for so long, the dreams that would make me desirable and attractive unto myself. Thoughts? I feel like for me, that's so I've I've had bouts since childhood with depression, right? And it brings along with it such disorientation and such disconnection. It just feels like a tundra, you know, just vast. And I think it's no coincidence that I'm also afraid of the deep sea and space for that kind of vastness and disconnection. And in those moments, or even in moments of like feeling sad, or feeling unaccomplished or something like that, it's like, it's always about like, okay, let me get out of this spot that I'm in right now. Let's move it along, okay? And it's also ingrained in our society with kind of pull yourself up by your bootstraps, this kind of like, come on, keep it hustling, time is money, like hustle, keep it, you know, it's just unsustainable. It's unsustainable, this kind of, you know, progression that just keeps on moving at a steady pitch up. And so that one was about just saying like, I am tired. I am tired. I will not go another step. Like, this is where it is. This is what it is. I'm putting my head down, you know, and offering some kind of, actually that one isn't about offering anything. It's just like, I just need to stop, right? Perhaps call in a sister friend or something like that. So let's look at some of these comments here. Hi, Melissa. I am so happy to be connecting with you guys. Like, this does my soul so good. Good question. Well, have I used words? No, I wouldn't say I've used words recently. There's a couple routines that I'm definitely doing whatever. I'm a school teacher, so you guys should know that. So I'm doing the online platform. I'm really appreciating the routine that's giving me and the purpose that's giving me. And it's kind of like opening my heart to kind of be able to nurture and facilitate something for kids and families, some kind of normalcy. So that's number one. And I actually got really sad yesterday because I found out that Fridays we're going to be kind of like laying off of any new assignments of anything. So that just like, I kind of needed 5 days of connection as opposed to like just 4. But the other thing that's been really important is to hear the voices of my friends. So many of you out there right now, you know, we've spoken on the phone, like to hear the voice, to hear the prosody, to hear the regulation in the voice is really helpful to feel that kind of love that's just not going to happen through a text or an email. So and to stay present with what is. So it's like, you know, if I'm feeling kind of lit, which I actually have felt some days, was, you know, sue me, whatever, but I've felt great some days this week, and just to kind of like go with it and appreciate it. And, you know, I'm hearing wildlife sounds in Montclair, New Jersey that I have not heard before, like raccoon parties. I'm seeing birds and chipmunks that I have not seen before, like that. I'm loving it. But then staying present with it. Yesterday was not a good day. It was sunny. It was amazing. It was flat. I wasn't feeling it. So, you know, experiencing that disorientation and saying, you too are welcome. That's been very helpful to me. And I'm kind of answering Elizabeth there. In terms of being where you want to be, this might seem kind of existential, right? But the only moment that you actually have is right now, the present moment, like here. So to be able to, and it's a muscle. So to be able to develop the skill to kind of hunker down and settle into what's happening right here and right now. And when you settle down into that moment, a lot of times it's like, that is not a place where you get decision-making power. A lot of times, you know, let's say with meditation or mindfulness, a lot of times what you'll experience is a sense of, you know, what people talk about, aliveness or relaxation. But another thing that can come when you settle down is like a flood of feelings that we call negative. So to be able to, I hate to say the word tolerate, but that's what I'm going to say, to be able to tolerate those feelings and stay with the moment. That's why this tenderness is so important, to say like, okay, you too are welcome. Okay. Yep. Okay. Rita says, this urge to be only in a good place and vilify the tough spots, the confusion of vulnerability and weakness, and the idea that every place that we visit that isn't great is ugly and of no value. That is cultural. Speak. Yep. Yeah. So with that, I'm just warning you right now that the next few poems I'm going to read are called To You. And I'm a little concerned because I don't want to sound preachy, okay? But it's just my creative constraint. It had to be to you, okay? So we're going to start with In Your Time. In your time. In your time. It is to cultivate that state of being learned from earth, that generative enigma, giving yourself the time to take your time. Así es, así. Ahí está, querida, ahí está. Ahí está, querida. I hold you. I've got you, right here. Release into your muscles and into your skin. I love you. I pray you into your release. Ahí está, hermanita, or hermanito. Yeah. So sometimes, you know, a lot of people, hermanita means little sister. And ahí está is kind of like a coup of like, yeah, okay, right there, right there. And sometimes you got to use your imagination to develop a voice for yourself that is, you know, is not one that you actually experienced or knew, right? So that can be really interesting. That's why reading is kind of nice, or to hear how other people do it, because you develop some more options instead of a voice that can be kind of that kind of overseer voice. Okay. This one is called Inward. You deserve your healing to stay with your feelings, because that work, beloved, we cannot sustain for you. Go on, cradle and stroke your broken heart. Learn to forgive yourself. We out here will disappoint, but do not despair. This has always been the route. Inward to the heart. This has always been the journey. Not for dollars, lifestyles, awards, or trophies. Nah, the route has never been hidden from you. It has been your silent and devoted companion. I should say that I am deeply influenced by the work of Hafiz, or Hafiz, I don't know how to pronounce it, Hafiz, and Rumi. And they're kind of these people who just like got right to the heart of it. This one is called Benediction. Okay, so before I share this, so a few years ago, I had a traumatic event and dealt with it with a couple of friends out in California and with a therapist. But I was living in a new place. And what was happening was that I was having these serious psychosomatic symptoms and like losing sensation in certain parts of my body. So you might notice this is where that comes from, benediction. And in the midst of that shattered heart, you will find depths you never knew you had. The profundity that scares you when you close your eyes. The spaces that don't sustain an inhale. But you can survive these spaces. You may just develop a broader sense of what you are. For spirit lurks in all spaces, wishing to be called home. Phenomena without language. Entities without representation. We call them ghosts and monsters and banish them to our nightmares, realities that we disavow. It is happening, my love. You have lost your legs, my love. The weight of 1,000,000 suns is on your chest, my love. Your face has transfigured into a mask of grief, my love. And still, my love, and still, you are here. The legs, the chest, the face. Grace is present, my love. Without words on your lips, without stories to craft, grace is here, my love. Grace requires nothing in return. You're right. On radical self-love, prayers to myself, to this right here self, the one you see before you, as I am, as I stand, as I ground in my feet and balance in my crown. Up, up, spirited up, prayers to myself, this right before you self. This is how I will love you, beloved. This is how I will honor you, beloved, as I stand here, relaxed and held by the buoyancy without and within. This is so much fun. Thank you. I have an alter ego, Soledad Stardust, and I have this like fantasy that she's a drag queen. So this poem is called Love Soledad, and I'm gonna leave you with the last one. Okay, Love Soledad. Oh, Soledad also means loneliness in Spanish. Okay. I confess that I love the tears as much as the shine. I confess that I love these thoughts. I confess that I love the paper and the pen. I confess that I love the swell in my eyes and the sting in my nose, the prayer that rushes forth straight and true when the mind cracks and subsumes to something real. Yay! Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you so much. That was very enlightening and I think really needed right now. So thank you. If you were willing, I thought we'd see if we had any more questions.
Yes.
I know my first question is, if someone wanted to buy your book, do you mind showing it again?
Sure.
Where would they go to buy it?
I did it on Kindle, Amazon printing. So it looks like this. And I mean, good luck ordering from Amazon because there's a backlog. If anybody wants to, you can email me and I can email you copies of the poems. And Lauren, you can certainly give out my email to folks. And all right. Yeah, that's that. Be your weird selves, please. Share your light, shine. You know, you're doing a great job. We're doing a great job.